first, Shen Yue and Luo Yunxi might seem like one of the least obvious drama pairings imaginable. Shen Yue is known for warmth, natural charm, and characters who feel emotionally close to real life. Luo Yunxi is known for intensity, elegance, and the kind of performances where even one look can carry an entire emotional history. So if these two actors were placed in the same drama, would their differences create something unexpectedly powerful? Or would they simply look like they belonged in completely different stories? Because the more you compare their screen presence, the more one possibility begins to stand out, and it is probably not the kind of drama most people would expect. Here on Asian Star Spotlight, we don't just talk about Shen Yu's dramas, pairings, possibilities, and co-stars. We explore the stories, the facts, and the bigger picture behind her journey. If that sounds like your kind of content, subscribe and join us right now. The first challenge is obvious. These are not two actors who built their careers in exactly the same space. Shen Yue became widely known through youthful, emotionally accessible stories. Her strongest screen quality is often the feeling that her characters are approachable. Even when she is playing someone imperfect, awkward, uncertain, or heartbroken, there is usually a sense of emotional openness that makes viewers feel close to her. Luo Yunxi's screen image often moves in a very different direction. His performances are frequently more controlled, intense, and visually dramatic. He has built a strong reputation for characters carrying hidden pain, emotional conflict, or enormous personal stakes. On paper, that contrast could look like a problem. But sometimes the most interesting chemistry does not come from two actors feeling the same. Sometimes it comes from what each person brings that the other does not. And that is where this pairing becomes much more interesting. Imagine a scene where Luo Yunxi's character is trying to hide something. He says very little. The emotion is contained. But Shen Yu's character notices that something is wrong, not because he explains it, but because she understands the person behind the silence. That kind of dynamic could give both actors something different to play. Luo Yunxi could bring the emotional weight, while Shen Yue could bring the human connection. His intensity could raise the stakes of the story, while her natural emotional openness could make those stakes feel personal rather than distant. And this is important. That does not mean one actor would fix or complete the other. It means their contrasting screen energies could create a balance. One draws the audience into the mystery. The other gives the audience someone through whom to feel it. But emotional contrast is only one part of the equation. The next question may be even more difficult. Would they actually look convincing together on screen? Luo Yunxi often has a sharp, elegant, almost otherworldly visual presence. Shen Yu's image is usually softer, warmer, and more naturally bright. Their contrast could create a striking visual story. You could almost describe it as warmth meeting intensity, or sunlight meeting a much darker, quieter world. That difference could make them visually memorable, but only if the project understood how to use it. The wrong styling could make the pairing feel disconnected, or the wrong genre could make viewers wonder why these two characters were placed in the same story. But the right cinematography, wardrobe, and emotional atmosphere could turn the contrast into the very thing people remember. The question is not simply, do they look alike? The better question is, do their differences create a visual story? And that brings us to the biggest decision of all. What kind of drama could actually make this pairing believable? A light romantic comedy might be the first idea people imagine for Shen Yue, but for this particular pairing, it may not be the most interesting choice. A bright, playful story could work, but it might not fully use the contrast between their acting styles. The more compelling possibility could be a mature modern drama, something emotionally layered, something where the relationship develops slowly, rather than depending on instant attraction or familiar romantic clichés. Imagine a psychological romance, or a modern story involving a difficult personal choice, a hidden past, or two people trying to rebuild their lives after very different experiences. Luo Yunxi could play a character who appears composed, but is carrying something deeply unresolved. And Shen Yue could play someone who initially sees only the surface, but gradually becomes the person who understands what he is hiding. Not because she saves him, or because the story turns her into a perfect answer to his pain, but because their relationship forces both characters to confront parts of themselves they have avoided. That could give Shen Yue a more mature emotional role, while allowing Luo Yunxi to bring the intensity audiences already associate with him. But there is another reason this idea may be more interesting than it first appears. For Shen Yue, a project like this could offer something different from the bright, youthful image many viewers still connect with her. Her recent career direction has shown an interest in expanding beyond one familiar type of character. A more emotionally complex modern role could give her room to explore restraint, uncertainty, and difficult choices without losing the natural warmth that makes her screen presence recognizable. For Luo Yunxi, the pairing could create a different emotional atmosphere too. His characters are often surrounded by enormous conflict, destiny, sacrifice, or high emotional stakes. Placing that intensity beside Shen Yu's more grounded energy could make the relationship feel quieter and more personal. Instead of asking, can they survive the fate of the world? The story could ask, can two people who understand pain very differently learn to trust each other? And that may be where their chemistry becomes most believable. Not through dramatic declarations, but through small moments. A conversation that changes how one character sees the other. A silence that feels more important than an argument. And a person choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. But before we call this pairing a good possibility, there is one major problem we cannot ignore. Their differences could create chemistry, but those same differences could also create distance. If the writing focused too heavily on making Luo Yunxi's character mysterious and emotionally unreachable, Shen Yu's character could end up feeling like she was only there to react to him. And that would waste the potential of the pairing. For this to work, both characters would need equal emotional weight. Shen Yu's character would need her own conflict, her own choices, and her own reasons for holding back. The relationship would have to change both people. And the pacing would matter too. A slow burn romance can be powerful, but only when the story continues moving forward. If the drama relied on endless misunderstandings, repeated separations, or emotional suffering without development, viewers could lose patience. The pairing would need a strong script, not just two popular actors placed beside each other. Because chemistry can attract attention, but the story is what makes people stay. And that leads to the final question. After looking at their acting styles, visual contrast, and possible genres, would Shen Yue and Luo Yunxi actually work? My answer is yes, but only if the project understands why the pairing is interesting in the first place. They should not be placed together simply because they are both popular. And they probably should not be given a standard romantic comedy that ignores their differences. The strongest version of this pairing may be a mature modern story built around emotional contrast. Luo Yunxi could bring the intensity, mystery, and emotional pressure. Shen Yue could bring warmth, empathy, and the kind of grounded vulnerability that makes difficult emotions feel human. Their differences would not disappear. They would become the foundation of the relationship. And perhaps that is the most interesting thing about this possibility. Some pairings work because the two people feel immediately familiar. Others work because the audience wants to discover how two very different worlds could possibly meet. Shen Yue and Luo Yunxi may belong to the second category. Unexpected and unproven, but potentially far more interesting than they first appear. And if you enjoy being part of a community that looks beyond the obvious and celebrates Shen Yu's journey in a more personal way, you can also join the Asian Star Spotlight membership. Members get access to exclusive posts, special updates, and extra ways to be part of the Mooncake community. You can tap the join button on the channel page to learn more. So now I want to know, if Shen Yue and Luo Yunxi were cast together, what would you choose for them? A mature modern romance? A psychological mystery? A tragic melodrama? Or something completely different? Tell me your dream genre in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring unexpected co-star possibilities and looking beyond the obvious, subscribe to Asian Star Spotlight. Because sometimes the most interesting pairing is the one nobody expected. Take care and see you in the next one, where Shen Yue and Asian stars shine.